Don't stress, live life one day at a time. Don't drink or drug and you'll be fine.
Welcome back to Staying Sober with Papa Joey. Now, I know the title of this video may upset some people, but just stick with me, okay? Please stick with me. I'm not trying to be a smart ass or anything. Just, follow along. The reason I titled this podcast, Why God Won't Keep You Sober, is simple. God gives us free will, and with that free will comes consequences. So if we make the wrong choices time and time again and suffer the consequences, we also have the free will to reverse that and start making the proper choices. Years ago when I went to AA, and I'm not knocking AA, I liked AA. I tell people, if you're new in sobriety or you're struggling, get your ass into a meeting, sit down, shut up, listen to people, because a lot of them are probably have gone through what you're going through, or maybe even going through what you're going through at the moment. There's somebody there that'll listen to you and help you. Now, I'm not trying to, it's not an advertisement for AA or anything like that, but I truly believe that there are good people out there that want to help you. It's free. So if you're struggling, get yourself into a meeting. But anyways, while I was in the meeting, I would hear people say, I thank God every day for getting me sober and keeping me sober. Well, that sounds really good, and it's all spiritual, right? Everybody wants to sound good and sound spiritual. I used to think about it and say, well, wait a minute, hold on. If God is keeping me sober and God got me sober, why did it take him so long? Why did he allow me to go through all this crap in order to, turn my life around? What's up with that? What kind of God would do that? Well, here's the deal. We all were born with one thing, right? And we're all equal with it. We all were given free will, right? We were given free will to do with our lives what we want to do. And sometimes we make the right decisions, and sometimes we make bad decisions. And when it comes to people who abuse alcohol or drugs, time and time and time again, we are making bad decisions time and time and time again. Now, you can use whatever term you want. It's addicting. I've got this addictive personality. It's a disease, which to me is all bullshit. But we can play whatever tune we want to play to make us keep doing that negative behavior until finally one day, hopefully one day, we go, wait a minute. This shit's not working for me. What am I doing with my life? I got to make a change. Now, with free will, we can also stop doing something that we were doing before that's not giving us the outcome we want. An example is, let's say you get a job someplace and you're really excited about it, and you go to this place and you find out it's not all that it's cracked up to be. You don't like it. So you got a choice. You either keep going to that job and doing the same thing over and over again and hating your work, or maybe the people around you, whatever the situation is, or you exercise your free will, start looking around for a better job or just a different job so you'll be happy, and you get your ass out of there, right? So free will comes with some benefits if we use it correctly. So we've got to learn how to make the right choices in our life. God, in my opinion, because I'm a believer in God and his son, Jesus Christ. I was water baptized down here in Florida 20 years ago, I think. However, I believe God can give us strength, some clarity, maybe some guidance by listening or reading his word. But ultimately, it comes down to us making the right choice. I've said this before. Now, I'm a big believer in God, in my faith, but right now I can shut this video down and walk out my front door, get in my car, drive down the street to the bar, order a beer, and sit down and drink a beer. Nothing's going to stop me. No giant hand from above is going to come down, pick me up, and put me back into my home. Because I have free will. I can do that if I want. But as I said earlier, we have consequences that come along with our choices, right? Our decisions. So I don't believe that, God is going to get me sober and keep me sober. I believe my faith in him and also the choices that I make knowing what's right for me will keep me sober. Think back, how many times did you say this? I shouldn't do X. I shouldn't do Y. Let's use drinking. How many times do we go out or go someplace and we said to ourselves, you know what? I better play it safe. I better not drink because I know what happens when I get around these group of people and I drink or I'm out. It's a special event and, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, so I'm not going to drink. And you pick up a drink or you do some drugs before you go and something happens, right? You already knew that there was going to be a chance that you would screw up, and then you did, and then you wonder, what happened? Why did this happen? Well, you already knew something could go wrong, and you did it anyway, so you have to suffer the consequences. So this idea of blaming God, or not blaming God, but thinking God's always going to keep you sober or, protect you, that's cool. It sounds very spiritual, but ultimately it comes down on us. Now, there are people, and I've heard, the stories. I know people that this happened to, and I'm sure you have, that maybe one day they were in church and the pastor did what they call an altar call. He's standing up, in front of the congregation and he says, now right now, is there anybody hurting? Is anybody going through something? Is anybody addicted to drugs, alcohol, pornography, gambling? And you've had enough. You don't want to live that way anymore. You want to just give it up. You can't keep doing it. I want you to get out of your seat and walk up to this altar and say you're done. You're ready to turn your life around and you're ready to follow God, Jesus Christ. You're going to do whatever you have to do not to go back in your old ways. And I know quite a few people who did just that and turned their lives around. Now, did God do that for them? No, but he put them, I believe, in a place. And while that person was sitting there listening to the preacher, minister, whatever, priest, whatever, something took a hold of them and said, yeah, that's me. That's me. I can't take it anymore. It's kind of like when you finally hit a bottom. Like for me, my last drunk, I finally said after many years of drinking and many years of making an ass out of myself, I had enough. I'm fucking done. I can't do this. Enough is enough. And it really wasn't my worst drunk, but it was the right time for me to say, that's it. I can't take it. I can't take it. I've got to do something. And it just happened to be that I knew somebody that had gone to AA and they were 10 years sober. And I said to myself, well, damn it, that's where I'm going to go because I got to do something. And that's how I got into AA. And I was glad I went there. But God didn't pick me up and put my ass in an AA room. I had to humble myself and walk in. And then most importantly, I just had to shut up and listen, which was very difficult for me to do. Sometimes it still is. But for me, I always wanted to, I was always the guy that said, yeah, and but you don't understand, but no, there were no more buts. I sat there and I said I was done. And I listened. And thankfully, I never picked up a drink after that. And my 33 years of sobriety is August 31st of this year. So, I'm thankful, but as much as, I love God and I, allowed me to go through whatever the hell I had to go through. And even in sobriety, I had to go through some stuff and I had to make the right choices. Another thing I want to briefly talk about is what I've been seeing on Facebook now is, people posting or starting their own Facebook feeds like, I'm 10 days sober, follow me. Man, in my opinion, that is so dangerous. Now, I know social media, everybody's on it. Everybody wants to have people pat them on the back. But, when it comes to getting sober and staying sober, man, at least your first year, just focus on staying sober and, getting sober first and then staying sober and just take it easy. Don't look for pats on the back from people because sometimes you might not get those pats on the back. And you may start to think, is all this worth it? Hopefully you're getting sober and staying sober for you, nobody else. I talk a lot about that in my book, Don't Drink or Use No Matter What, and no matter what means no matter what. I'll put a link below for it. I won't say anything else about the book, other than I think it's a good book. A lot of people have reached out to me. And it's interesting. Many of them, instead of posting stuff on Amazon, and I like it, they email me. And I really like that, and I thank you. But anyways, going back to this stuff on Facebook, there's a group called Sexy and Sober. And I'm thinking to myself, good God. Yeah. I mean, people post whatever. So now you got people posting, and their pictures, and saying I'm sober, guys and girls. I'm just not saying it's just women or whatever. And now everybody's telling them how good they look and congratulations, blah 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 blah. But you know what? Sobriety is not a performance. Sobriety shouldn't be. Or I should say, getting sober, you shouldn't look for the applause and the attention. That's not what it's about. And too many people make their sobriety about what other people think. And the dangerous part of that is there may come a time where somebody is going to let you know they don't give a shit if you're sober. Somebody's going to say, I'm not going to pat you on the back. Big deal. I looked at my own sobriety. I was proud of myself the first year. When I got my 30-day chip in AA, then I think it was a 60-day chip, then a 90-day chip. And that first year medallion, I felt good about myself because I did a whole year. Man, that's incredible for me. But other than the people in AA that said, hey, congratulations, Joey, that's great. I didn't go brag to people that I'm sober. I didn't go brag to people, look at me, I'm sober, and, I'm still going to meetings. Don't you think I'm wonderful? That was never me because, if I look at it, I wasn't proud of a lot of things that I did. So now I want people to congratulate me for basically, not being an asshole, not drinking and driving. Stupid things like that, not getting into fights in the bars or ruining really good relationships with some women that I've had and also some friends. I want to be congratulated for that? No, I didn't need that. And I still don't need that. And another thing you got to watch out for is one of the biggest dangers of people with their sobriety is their ego. Right? We were stroking our egos when we were drinking or using. And now you want to stroke it a different way by not drinking or using, or maybe whatever addiction you're in right now. The ego, it could be a blessing or a curse. Now, my ego is I'm not drinking anymore, no matter what. Okay, so that's my ego. that's telling me you're not going to drink, because you know why? You don't want people to look at you this way. You don't want people to say things. But more importantly, internally, I don't want any of that shit to happen anymore. So yeah, my ego plays a good part in my life. Back in the day, my ego was all about seeing how drunk I could get, or if I was in a band, how, excuse the expression, how fucked up I can get before I went on stage, which was totally stupid. I look back at some of the times that I did play drunk and made an ass out of myself. I had other musicians tell me, hey, I'm not going to work with you anymore, man. You're a really good drummer, but you get too fucked up. And as a drummer, my main responsibility is keeping time for the band. And if I can't keep time because I'm so screwed up, they didn't need me. So, yeah, my ego was not doing me any favors back then. So please, if you're one of these people that need to have a pat on the back, stop. It's okay to get encouragement. It's okay to be proud of yourself, but don't go looking for it, because your sobriety should be all about you, not somebody else. Because like I said, unfortunately, there's going to come a time where nobody's going to pat you on the back. Nobody's going to tell you how wonderful you are or how great you look or whatever. It's just you. And if something happens in your life where the thought of a drink or a drug pops up, you may start to think, well, hey, who cares? Who cares? Nobody congratulates me anymore. Nobody says nice things about me because, I quit drinking or drugging. Screw it. I'm going to go back to my own ways, because back then, sometimes people paid more attention to me, but in a totally different way, right? How many times do you know people that abuse themselves with whatever drugs, addiction, you may be one of them, just to get noticed from other people, even though it's not the way, we really want to be noticed. So you got to be careful. So in my opinion, God's there for us. I believe you can, get strength from him. But ultimately, you have to make the right decision time and time and time again. Screw your ego. Don't look for the pat on the back. Of course, be proud of yourself that you're taking a negative situation and turning it into a positive for you, but you're doing it for you and nobody else. Don't look for that gratification from someone else. Just do it for yourself. And I promise you, if you're proud of yourself for what you have accomplished or we continue to accomplish with your sobriety, you don't need anybody else's congratulations. So don't forget, don't drink or use no matter what, and no matter what means no matter what. And just a reminder, I have a book with the same title. So till the next time, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Think about your serenity. Be grateful for